Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I'm Mike.
I'm Jay.
And we have a special dark treat for you.
Have you ever thought about what it would be like to be fucked by Casper? Shit.
You remember when Dan Aykroyd got raped by Ghost in Ghostbusters?
He got a head.
That looked fun. The Entity
That did not look fun.
does not look fun. 1982's The Entity. You can't rent it. You pretty much can't buy it. You have to find it in a weird place on the dark web.
As a matter of fact, you can. You can spend $78 of your hard-earned cacholas and your bread money to go on Amazon and fucking buy it.
It's weird, man. Like, why?
They just, I don't know. It's like, it's rare. I rented it, when I was a kid. Like, it was on VHS. But it's like, I guess the rarity of it is so high now.
And we have a tier on our Patreon where you guys can join and you guys can request. We do a weekly drawing every week where you guys can pick the movie review that we do. And Anastasia Kornick, who's been a sweetheart, who's been amazing to us, picked The Entity. And we found it online. You got to do some digging, but you can find it and you can watch it. And this movie is actually scary. Like, you don't find movies that are scary that you don't know about already as a horror fan. This movie is scary as fuck.
20th Century Fox presents the story of Carla Moran. The most extraordinary case in the history of psychic research.
She's basically raped over and over. And over
literally
again.
Raped, yeah.
Oh my god, there's one specific scene pretty close to the beginning of the movie where she just bitch a slap and she's like, huh? Oof. And then she's got a little blood and then it picks her up and throws her on the bed and starts suffocating her with the fucking pillow. I felt like she was being fucking attacked by Pee Wee Herman. And like, you see the goo on her legs. Like, they don't go like hardcore detail graphic with it, but it's enough to make your brain, I mean, they go graphic enough, like, don't get me wrong, but it makes your brain be like, holy fuck. Like, she's getting literally fucked by a ghost.
It's weird, man. Like, so we've talked about, like, rape in films before, and we've talked about Rob Zombie and how Rob Zombie likes to add rape in films where it doesn't belong, and it's like basically he's like, it's a fetish for him, and he's getting off on it. I never have agreed with that. Like, when you look back at what Wes Craven did with Last House on the Left, you show it off film. If you have to have rape in a film, you show it off camera. You don't fucking fetishize
pull on to it.
You don't do all that shit like that. But now here you have a movie where it actually is integral to the plot, and it's actually done in a way that it's really fucking scary, and it's an important part of the plot. So this is a 1982 movie. It stars Barbara Hershey, who is amazing in the role as Carla Moran. Now the original girl, it's based technically sort of on a true story. And the true story, what had happened was there was this girl who claimed that she was being raped by a ghost, and a couple of ghost people heard her talking about it, and they investigated it. And what happened was they found out that she has these 4 kids who she has a terrible relationship with in her family, and they found that her home had been condemned twice, and it was this real fucked up situation. But these 2 guys, much like you see in movies like Insidious, went in to investigate it, and the guy claims, he was like, I found orbs, I found all this shit inside this house. She ended up dying in 1999 of pulmonary arrest. So the whole story is fucking weird and out there, but this is based on her story.
Professional paranormal investigations and eliminations. The franchises alone will make us rich beyond our wildest dreams. Ghostbusters. But no, yeah, it's true. It's kind of a fucked up story, the fact that it is loosely based on possibly a reality that did occur. I don't know if it happened. I wasn't there. It's possible. I don't know. I'm not going to rule out anything. I don't rule out UFOs and aliens in the sky. So, I mean, it's possible that this shit, I mean, there's a lot of mythological, or not mythological, but a lot of ancient cases of incubus and succubus and shit like that. You know, demons that would have sex with people while they were sleeping. A male called an incubus for women and a succubus for men, and then kill them or try to kill them afterwards.
What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about?
I was reading on the Wikipedia. Was this actually happening? Or was it a psychological breakdown or decay of a person that was imagining this and going through the tropes? And actually, they do focus on that in the movie. Ron Silver, who's the psychiatrist in the film, actually explores those themes with her. Kind of a Freudian kind of, you know, you've had these terrible relationships in your life, and it's almost in a way you're projecting this onto your kids. And it gets really deep and dark there. That one part when he is, do you remember what he was implying?
Yeah.
Wow, sir.
No, I know.
You're not getting your refund.
Everything broke loose confused. It went crazy, and everything was shaking. The bed was shaking, and the walls were shaking. And
Like an earthquake.
no, it wasn't like an earthquake. It was much stronger than any earthquake.
You meet Barbara Hershey's character, you meet her sons, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like you said, she gets smacked in the face and she gets raped by a ghost. And
Crazy.
it's uncomfortable. It's weird. It puts you in the whole mood of the movie. It's fucking crazy what happens there.
It's so because there's no preamble except for that boom, boom, boom.
Every single time,
That's fucking.
every single time the entity shows up, you hear like a washing machine that's fucking broken.
I know, but that discordance got me. When I was
got
a
me
kid,
too.
It was like, oh, like fuck.
No, it got me too. Like right behind here,
jarring.
my washing machine's right back there. And literally, while I was watching this movie, my washing machine went off at one point. I was like,
I was gonna like fuck. I was like, Calgon, ancient Chinese secret.
but it's really fucked up because you put yourself in her shoes. Like there's a ghost raping this woman. It shows it. Like it's right there. It's not too graphic at first, but it shows her getting raped, and you're thinking like you put yourself in her shoes and you go like, what the fuck would you do? You have to tell people that a ghost is raping you. So you get to watch her go through all of that, and it's horrible and it's awful. Plus she has these kids. She has these two little kids, and then she has an older kid who looks just like David Justice, who used to play for the Atlanta Braves.
I think he looked like Fez from the '70s show.
Sure, but immediately, as soon as you see her interact with her own son, they're a little bit like, even before you know what's going to happen, they're a little bit weirdly touchy-feely. Like she's like, oh, honey, it's going to be okay. Like, I'm not going to, it's a little bit, and you're like, you guys kind of have a weird, like, touchy relationship.
Some people do that. I mean, some parents kiss on the mouth. You know.
But as you go on through the film, she meets with a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist played by Ron Silver. I
love Ron Silver.
Fantastic in this movie. Rest in peace.
Fucking Time Cop, guys.
He was amazing in this.
I love Time Cop. That's why I see him, Time Cop.
And he's trying to tell her, he's like, look, like, you're not actually being raped by a ghost. He was like, what this is like these repressed, like this sexual thing that happened from your past. We won't get into the details of it. You should watch the movie yourself. But he's like, that's what's fucking you up, and it's making you think this shit's happening. But at the same time, she keeps getting raped in her own home, and she's got bruises in places where she can't give herself bruises. Her thighs, her ankles, her every fucking where. And it's just it's an investigation from the start of the fucking movie.
What's actually intriguing about it also is the fact that it starts off with one entity. You know, even though based on the real story of Doris Bilther, there was three. It wasn't until later in the film that she does describe there was the second or third time she's raped. I think it's the second time in the bathroom, which is a fucking pretty brutal scene.
Yeah.
It's not as brutal as some of the other scenes that come over.
I think it's the roughest one, actually.
No, I don't know, because there's that one scene when she's naked and it's like rubbing her boobies.
That's gross.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah.
That's pretty rough. But this one's pretty up there. She explains that there was two different ones now holding her so that this bigger entity could rape her. And what Ron Silver, the psychiatrist, is implying, and you know, you can kind of figure it out. In this film, there's only three kids. There's a son, an older son, and then there's two little girls. And he's like, you're saying that there's a bigger entity, right? And then there's two little people holding you while this bigger entity rapes you. And he's like, you know, Billy, which is her son, Billy's a good looking kid, and you've got two little girls. And so you know what he's implying. He's like, this is a Freudian kind of thing because you were basically incestually touched by your father. You know, and this is kind of a thing that's playing out in your brain, and you're suffering from delusions and hysteria, and it's creating hysteria for your children, and it's unsafe. It's a fucking really fascinating look into how a person's brain can be damaged so badly from some fucked up shit and possibly create scenarios that would not normally, you know, a ghost raping you may not really exist. It's just in your mind. However, it could be happening. It could be a paranormal actual occurrence. And that's where the film kind of is exploring. Like, and I feel like there's a lot of this film that is just so heavy in dialogue that it kind of takes you out of it, because it's just not that it's because the dialogue's not necessarily even good. It's just back and forth, kind of boring, almost like a documentary kind of thing going on for a minute. And then you get to the action stuff and you actually get to the stuff that matters. And you're like, oh, this is fun. What I would have done is I would have loved to explore the relationship between damaged people psychologically and who create paranormal, you know, situations to deal with that, or if this is an actual paranormal occurrence. And I feel like they were trying to explore it, but I feel like they kind of got lost in the script because it was so heavy. And by the way, I just want to point out that Ron Silver, when I say Time Cop, he was the bad guy in Time Cop. He was the guy that fucking said, when he talked to himself in the past, like, can you lay off the fucking candy bars? There's something about that guy when he talks. He's such a good fucking actor.
I felt Al Pacino Serpico.
Yes,
that's why I felt coming from him.
I feel bad that he's gone because he was such a great character actor and he was such a good bad guy. Oh my god, I would love to see that guy to do more stuff.
He's amazing in the movie as the psychiatrist. Barbara Hershey is amazing in the movie as the person who's dealing with all this shit like that.
Yeah.
And it's not this typical like empty fucking character who's like, no, you don't understand. She's like, no, she's like, if what you're telling me is true, if I'm creating this in my own mind, she's like, I'll believe you. I just want it to stop.
Yeah.
Everyone's reactions, like the characters' reactions to what's happening, are very realistic throughout the entire movie, and that's what keeps you hanging on through a lot of the dialogue heavy stuff. But that basically is the most interesting part of the film, is that like, okay, is this because you had such a fucked up childhood, because you have such a fucked up mind when it comes to sex and stuff like that this has happened to you, or is this actually a paranormal entity? Yeah. And where it veers into is this hardcore crazy poltergeist. I really felt poltergeist.
Yeah, it was poltergeist. I mean, it was a poltergeist.
Down to the fact where at one point in the movie, a couple paranormal investigators take over her house and then like bug it and shit like that.
That was straight out of Poltergeist.
Yeah.
It's one to hold up for the ages.
At times, it's one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. And Martin Scorsese said this. He said that this, in his mind, is one of the scariest movies that has ever existed, because when you put yourself in Barbara Hershey's character's shoes, like, what do you fucking do?
Oh, wait a minute. Honey, I don't really understand this. You were attacked? Or you weren't? It happened. I was raped.
You were raped by whom?
I don't know. There was no one there.
You're personally alone in this struggle, and it can come out of nowhere, and it can happen at any moment, and it can happen in any instance. You'd be making a cup of coffee in the morning, getting ready to go take your children to school. You could be getting out of the shower. You could be taking a shit in the toilets.
That's what makes it actually scarier than anything, because there's points in this movie where the ghost, like, it gets more ballsy, and it will take her in front of her own children.
That was a fucked up
that
scene.
fucking messes with you when you're watching it. You're like, this ghost doesn't give a shit. Like, it wants to show off. It wants to show off what it can do, and
I feel like the inconsistency was there, though, because there's one specific scene, and I don't know if it was an inconsistency or if it was on purpose, that the director or the writer was saying, no, she is psychologically fucked up.
They didn't know where to go.
Because I was going to say, there's one specific moment, and I understand about mass hysteria, okay? I understand that people can believe in somebody else's fantasy so much that it can actually occur for themselves. But when the one particular scene that Mike's talking about in front of her children occurs, and then there's like this electric thing that happens. I'm not going to give what happens, but this electricity thing happens, and then 30 minutes later in the film, she's laying in bed and the other two investigators are there, and then they see it, and she's like, he's weak.
How do you know that?
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, he's goddamn Raiden. He's getting ready to strike your vagina with a bolt of lightning. Like, this is not like, I mean, get the fuck out of the bed. Like, what are you doing? You're just laying there like, ha, he's weak.
A team of experts will investigate her life.
Why does he attack you, Carla? Not anyone else. Why is she going to such lengths to support this delusion?
What's more disturbing is the fact that it's occurring, and that's occurring, or is it more along the lines of, this could really be somebody that's so badly damaged that they're creating this reality for themselves, and they're going through it, like kind of like John Nash, and like I mentioned, A Beautiful Mind, when he was so convinced that he was working for the government and so fully into that fantasy that he was, at one point I remember him leaving his baby in a tub and it almost drowning because he thought he was working with the government and he had to go do this thing. I just feel like there was so much more to explore with this film, but the good news is, and I don't remember all the details to it, this film is being optioned, or there is talks about remaking it. And I do feel that if this film is done right, and if they explore the right themes with it, and they go full on with the right concepts and the right ideas moving forward, I think this could be a classic fucking film. Like, I really do. And I feel like they missed the opportunity. It's still a great film. Like, you should check it out. And it is disturbing. But I feel like if they remake it now with the right cast, with the right director, with the right script, and explore the themes that need to be explored, and cut out the parts that don't really need to be there, I think you got a fucking goddamn Sammy Sosa non-steroid home run.
What I think, what this film ties into with today, if they did do a remake with it, and I was thinking about this while I was watching it, as someone who's dealt with fucking deep panic attacks that make you think shit's happening inside of your body that it's not. And many of you guys have been there. I've been there. I felt for her while watching this movie. The brain is a powerful thing, and it can make you believe shit's happening. Like, you wouldn't believe what your brain can tell you is happening that's not actually happening up to this level. So when I was watching this movie, I kept thinking about that too. I'm like, I can't think about all the times my brain told me that I was having a heart attack and I wasn't. You know what I mean? So I think if they do a remake with this and they tell it from that angle, like, the brain's so powerful it can make you believe shit's there, it's not, and then you find out it either is or it isn't. I think that could be a really, really heavy thing that you lay on people, and I think it'd be great. But what do you give it on a score 1 to 10?
I give it 8.5.
8.5? And even higher.
Yeah, I love this movie, man. I had a great time watching it. I just feel like what I loved the most about it was the fact that maybe I loved the most about it was the underlying themes that they could have explored, but it's there. Like, it's there. It's in subtext.
They touch it.
It's small.
Just the
tip.
Yeah.
They touch the tip and they tickle you a little bit with the butthole.
Yeah.
But it's not all the way explored. But it's still fun enough that I was injected and interjected.
and so well acted.
Not interjected. I was injected in the film, or as I was like really involved in the film, and I was energized by the film. The only thing really that, other than the laziness, I think at the end, especially with the gymnasium, I just felt like that was so fucking like tight. Like, it just felt so fake, and it felt so like easy, easy street.
Welcome
ending.
home, cunt.
I would rather fucking have a film, like I said, that you could walk out and be like, bitch, I think that was real. And they'd be like, fucker,
Talk about it.
use a hoe.
Talk about it. You know,
You talk
don't
about
know.
you want to have a water cooler conversation after the end of a movie.
But it was a different time though. Like, back then, people back then wanted a clear cut answer.
Maybe,
so today, leave that gray and white, and then people could talk about it, and then it's like, oh my god.
And we could be completely wrong. I mean, maybe as far as we know, and the director was doing a fine job at that. It was a straightforward film. It was a straightforward horror movie. There was a ghost. It fucking raped her, and it was doing it nonstop, and she got help, and that's it.
Yeah.
But I feel like there was so much more there, and I feel like that's what they should have been going for.
Yeah.
By the way, still gonna point this out. The Exorcist made me shit my pants. It's still the scariest movie of all time.
Of course.
I don't give a fuck what people say. Dude, there's polls coming up that like it's overrated. Are you
No.
fucking
Me
serious?
too.
Like, that movie is scary as shit.
Comment down below, let us know what your all's thoughts. Thank you, Anastasia. You're fucking amazing. That was an amazing pick.
Thank you.
Excellente pick. And guys, trust me, if you do enough Googling, you can find this movie. You definitely want to check it out.
Make sure you go to the one with Russian writing.
We love your fucking faces. If you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button and get some goddamn way up in here.
Ooh.
We watched a movie. Yeah. We watched a movie. We watched it. We watched a movie. Yeah. You know what? We did a review. We watched a movie.